Hello friends, welcome or welcome back to 8 Moon Phases. My name is Chivis and today we're going to be talking cross stitch. If you watched my last video, which was the quilt block, it's been about an hour since then. But I was so excited that I wanted to make sure that I was able to get this project started. So ever since I was working on the other cross stitch projects, I had been looking on Etsy because, well, I knew that there was one specific thing that I wanted to look for, so I was able to get it done. And I did. I actually found a few different designs in regards to this item. If you can take a guess, put it down below. If you cannot, then look at the name of the channel and you will be able to take a guess. Yes, it is the moon. I was looking for cross stitch patterns that were about the moon, and I found one that I really, really, really liked. So I purchased it as soon as I saw it, and the person that I interacted with was very, very kind, very friendly. I got my pattern, and it was amazing. I did purchase it on Etsy, and the pattern store is called Maria Oliveira Patterns, I believe. So this is a really, really good pattern because it came with a lot of information. One of the things that it had was obviously the picture. It came with the pattern in two different ways. One of them was the full sheet pattern, and then the other one is broken up so you can print it and mark it as you go. And it also included a sheet where it had the breakdown of all of the colors of embroidery thread that you were going to need in the brand DMC. Now, if you find substitutes, great. If you know what the colors are, then you can substitute them. I did not. Now I do, which if I am missing any, I could find off-brand or different brand colors that resemble it. However, I'm hoping that I don't because I followed the whole list to a T and I purchased the amounts that it said there, and I hope that is enough. But yes, before we get started in talking about the pattern and me showing you what it looks like and how these videos are going to work, subscribe if you haven't already. Enable that notification bell. That way you guys will be notified every time that I upload a video. And if at any point throughout this video you enjoy and like what you see, then definitely consider hitting the like button. It is free and it helps a lot. Let's get started. All right, so I will put up an image of the picture. I will not link it below because I already have the name. I already gave you guys a name of the pattern. It's literally just called the moon. And if you guys look on Etsy, then you'll find it there. But let me do a breakdown, first of all, of how this mini series is going to go. I will not be able to finish the whole thing in this video. Today is just going to be talking about the pattern and prepping the pattern, prepping the materials, and then getting started. I realize that cross stitch is a craft that takes time. With the past two projects that I've done, and previously the most recent one that I did, it takes some time, and I don't have the time to dedicate it 100% to be able to just try to push this out as fast as I can. I know it's going to take me a while, so it may be over the span of a few videos. And again, if you subscribe, then you'll be able to catch every single part of it, and then you'll be able to see the end result. But I do want to start with materials that I've had, that I already had, materials that I purchased, things that I'm still considering that I may or may not need or may not be useful. If you have any sort of recommendations, any sort of suggestions for cross stitch in general, then definitely let me know down below, because I will take it all into consideration. And if it is useful, if it, helps me along the way, then it'll make it that much easier for all of us. So the first thing, I did have Aida fabric in its 14 count. I did purchase as well a few of the different sizes. I believe I purchased an 18 count. Because along with this pattern, I did also purchase other patterns that I really, really liked. One of them is a set of books. The other one is like sewing little trinkets in a single color, which was blue. Obviously, you can pick any color to make it in. And I believe there was another one, another two. Let me check my store really quick of things that I have purchased. So it's one, two, three other patterns. It is a sewing machine, that one that has the scissors. Well, it has all of the like sewing um notions, I think it's called. And then the other one is a stack of books. Obviously, I have many more in my cart, but those will be for later. um, so yeah, I have purchased fabric for that. However, I did want one that was big enough for this particular pattern. This one is a little bit on the bigger side than normal. I believe it is a 25 by 33. And the only ones that I was able to find at my store were 15 by 18, something like that, like the regular size, or 20 by 24. I can't remember the exact size, but along those lines. And I wasn't able to find one that was 30 plus inches. So I ordered some on Amazon. This is what I received. The quality seems to be fairly well. I've touched it, I've opened it to see it, to examine it. Everything is good. I'm just hoping that it'll work for us, and I just do have to cut out the particular size that I need. Now, as far as hoops, I do have, the only one that I recently purchased was this 10-inch. Because of the size of the pattern, I thought that this might be helpful. These I've already had. This, I believe, is like a 7-inch. It fits in the 8-inch kind of, except this part here. This is an 8-inch. I do have the ones from the previous project, which I believe is a 6-inch. And then I also have a few 4-inch ones, which won't work here unless I'm working in little parts. However, considering the size of the project and it is a rectangle, I saw that there are a few frames where you can put them on and it'll hold them to the tautness that you need it. So I am considering it. I also saw somebody on Facebook that uses those same frames, made a frame out of was it PVC pipes and some screen mesh for screen printing. But I was thinking that you could use the same type of frame just for, well, to set this type of fabric on it, and then there's a way to adjust it so it stretches it if you need it a little bit more stretched. So I am considering that. However, I will probably start off using hoops to see how it works out. I've never tried not using a frame or hoops, so that may also be a possibility if the hoops get getting in the way. I don't know. Again, I don't know how long this project is going to take. I'm not planning a deadline for it, because then you know what happens. We're going to add on to our pile of whips that we haven't completed yet, which we already, we started off the year with 2. Well, 1 technically, and the binding of the last project. But that one's fairly easy. It'll be done. I promise. Next thing, I did buy a set of needles. I bought this one that has an assortment. It says that these last ones here are specifically for cross stitch. You see there, I'm trying to make it adjust. There we go. These right here, which are these. However, I was thinking of just using the needle that I have been using. I know in the last project I said that it didn't have a needle, and I found it. Actually, it was stuck to the plastic of the whole packaging. So I was able to find that needle. However, I didn't use it. There's a needle that I've been using since before that. So I may just consider using that needle, as I already know, the feel of it and everything is fine. However, to hold the needle, I have seen, I think they're called needle minders. They're magnetic, and they clip on either side of the fabric, and then you can just put your needle on there and hold it. What I have been doing which is not recommended because, as they said, it does mark your fabric. I had been adding them here. You notice this one that I need to finish as well. But I do add it here, and if you remove it, it does leave a mark of where the needle was. Right there, you can see the holes that are a little bit stretched. You can see it better on this side, right there. So since I do want to keep this, I'm probably going to frame it, and I don't know if the frame is going to cover that part of where I insert my needle. So I may consider either not necessarily getting the needle minders per se, but just a few magnets, maybe 2 magnets that'll help me hold the needle when I'm not working on it. I don't have any thimbles. I don't have anything that pushes the needle through. And I did notice that when I was working on the other project, it kind of does irritate this part of my finger more specifically because that's what I use to push the needle through. So I may consider either making one, getting one. Usually when the tools start hurting my hands, I just put Band-Aids around it. Specifically for crochet, I have a mark here already of where the hook lies when I am using it. So I usually crochet like this, and it marks the edge of my thumb here. And when that starts to hurt, I just put a Band-Aid over it, and that works fairly well. So that, I don't know, considering the options that I have, yeah. Now, the other thing that I did have to purchase because I didn't have it, obviously, was the embroidery thread. I wanted to, because this is a new project and I wasn't as familiar with the colors and what I was looking for in order to find substitutes, I went ahead and just found the original DMC colors. Now, unfortunately, I wasn't able to find all of the colors locally, which in my case, it's Hobby Lobby. Well, Hobby Lobby doesn't carry DMC. It was Michael's or Walmart. Primarily, I went to Walmart and I found a few of the colors I think I visited 3 different Walmart locations in my city, and I was able to find about half of what I needed. And then I went ahead and ordered the rest online. I found a great page that has all of the DMC colors for embroidery, and it is called 123stitch.com. So if you're ever looking for embroidery floss and need the colors, or need colors, there you go. It was fairly quick to ship, and I received it within less than a week, I believe. It was over the weekend that I ordered it, or a holiday, I can't remember, but it was pretty fast to arrive at my house. However, it is located in Texas, and I'm located in Texas, so that's why it was a little bit easier, I guess. I don't know, a little bit quicker. But yeah, so I do have all of the materials already. I have the fabric that you just saw. I have a hoop that I'm gonna try out, and the embroidery floss. So this is the lot of embroidery floss that I'll be using. Now, like I said, in the pattern documents, there was a sheet that gave you all of the code numbers, the code color, yes, the code colors, the color name, as well as how many stitches and what amount of yardage that would equal to. Because most of them were reasonable, I think the most that I got was the white, which was 11. The number next to that, or the biggest amount of number that I was going to need, was 48 of a certain color. And that is a color that I could not find at all here in my city. So I did have to order it. However, in doing some math and realizing how much yardage I was going to need, it was a little bit more economic to order a cone. I ordered the cone instead of 48 of these little skeins. So this is the one that is going to be used the most. I believe this is all over the background because it does tell you to use a cream color Aida fabric. However, I did not. I bought the white. Oh well. But the majority of the project is in black or dark. So I went ahead and purchased this cone instead, which is the same thing. It's just not into little skeins of, how long is this? Well, however long this is. If you know the exact number, then you're better than me because I have no idea. Oh, 8.7 yards. There you go. 8.7 yards. But yeah, we went ahead and purchased this because, again, it was going to be a little bit more economic in that sense. So we've gone over all of the materials, and now comes the part of starting to organize these materials. The first thing that I need to do is cut my fabric to size. Again, I need to look at the exact measurements to go up probably an inch around it, or something more of a standard size, because I do want to frame it afterwards and I want to see what size frames are available, so I can just purchase one and have it done instead of having to either make one or order a custom made one. Um, so that is the first step. The next step, or probably this should be the first step, is knowing how I'm going to organize all of my skeins of floss. I could potentially just leave them as is. However, I did have already these little things that we usually use to keep track of, embroidery floss stuff, right? I have an example here of other ones that I haven't put away that I've used, which are these, right? I could very well go through all of the skeins and put them into here. However, what I'm thinking about is knowing that I might need to, I need to go and unravel everything as I'm using it, right? And I don't know if I want to go through that trouble, especially because I have multiple of almost every color. There are a few that are single colors, but the majority of them have two, or more skeins. And I don't know if I want to go through and have to wound up every single skein. I do have a little skein roller, but I don't like how it works. It's not very efficient. It's not very effective. So I don't know. I don't know if that's what I want to do. I also saw, in researching cross stitch and watching videos, I saw some people organize it by, they're called floss drops, which essentially is just a little tag. You put the skein through this hole here, and then you can just pick it out as you need, as you are going to use it or as you need it, which is also a possibility. And I don't know. That is something that I still haven't decided what I'm going to do. However, to start this project, I may just use this skein as is, while I decide what it is that I want to do with the remaining skeins. However, I just gotta keep in mind that I do have to keep them labeled so I don't switch up the colors, or, because again, I haven't memorized the names of each of these, skeins yet, or colors. So yeah, that's what I'm going to start off with doing today. I've given you the overview of the project. I've given you the materials that I'm going to be using, things that I'm considering to probably use. And if I do, guys, you'll see me notifying you as we go through the project. I did let you guys know that this is not a one-day project or a one video project, as much as I wish it was, because I wanted to have it, done. But I'm excited. I'm very excited to get this started because ever since I purchased the project, all I've thought about is starting. So I'm going to go ahead and start probably cutting out the fabric, and I'm going to set my tablet up with this project. I'm not going to print it out because I do like to mark as I go. Now, usually for cross stitch, you're supposed to start in the middle, and that is probably what I'm going to do, simply because that'll help me even out what I'm doing with the remainder, and then have an equal border around the remainder of the fabric. So let's get going with starting with cutting our fabric first, and then we'll deal with flosses later. We have cut our fabric and this is what we are working with. I gave it 2 inches around each of the borders. So the original size is 24.86 by 32.14. I rounded it up. I did 25 by 32, and I added 2 borders around 2 inches around that. So we have 27 by 34 is what I have. Not counting the selvage edge. I do need to cut this selvage edge off, but I'm not counting that. So this is what we're working with. Yeah, it is much bigger than I thought, but that makes me even more excited. So I'm going to go through, I did read and saw about a technique that is called gridding. Is it gridding? I believe, where you go around and you mark every 10 points or every 10 circles. If you know dots, if you notice here, these little holes count as 1. So every 10 would be every 10 stitches, and you're able to just mark it all the way around. However, that seems like a lot of work. That seems like a lot of work, and I don't think that's something that I want to do, honestly. It is a 348 by a 450 stitch pattern. So I would have to go and mark 34 times across and 45 times down. That doesn't sound like fun. However, it may be something that helps me in the future as I'm working through this project. But for now, I believe that I'm going to just mark the middle, mark the center, and that is where I'm going to start working. Once I have that, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the embroidery flosses and start marking off, or at least trying to set up the ones that I'm going to use first. What I was thinking is combining both of those techniques. I may have to cut the flosses down by size to not have the whole long skein. I may cut it up, and then whatever I'm using, because usually when you do cross stitch, you don't use the whole entirety of the skein as a whole. For example, I have some here from the other pattern that I'm working on. Usually each of these has about six strands. Focus. Focusing on me. There we go. So each of these have about 6 strands. And what I've been doing here, so here I only have 2 strands left, and here I only have 2 strands. They look like 4, but because they're doubled up in this way, you guys can see them there. So I believe this is a 2-strand. Yep, use 2 strands of thread for cross stitch. So out of each piece of it, this is not the whole length of a skein. But this was a very useful measurement that has worked from what I've used. And these already came pre-cut. These are from, I believe, this one. Right. So these go to this one, and then the other ones, I believe I have in the living room, the ones that go to the bike one. But these, I may do that. I may on the top circle. So if I take one of these, I think I'm gonna wrap it around and then leave about one strand or two strands here as I'm using them. And then once it's up, then I'll go ahead and unwind another strand and then put it up here. Again, I am gonna measure them up to this length here and use this to cut out the skeins. I believe you cut it like in four. If you round it up, cut it up in four, and then it'll be something about this. So I think a combination of both might work. Just like this one, again, the newer strands are on this side, the working strands are on this side. I don't know if that's what this was meant for, but this is how I used it. I also considered making some of these and having them like that. I think the most important part that I need to remember is to make sure that I label each of the colors just once I take the little paper off, just so I know that that is what I need to be using. So that is what I'm going to be doing for the remainder of the video, and I hope that you want to tag along and watch a montage of that because there's quite a bit of floss. I may not do all of them. I may do a few just to have them ready, and then as I'm progressing through the project, then we'll go ahead and do the rest of them. But yeah, I invite you to stick around so you can see us organize all of our floss. And then from there, I'll probably start a little bit, and I hope you're excited as I am. So I have them all listed by color, and for now I am going to take only the ones that I need immediately. I have the pattern up on my computer over here and my tablet over here that has the key to the colors. So as of right now, I'm needing, where are you? 646. I'm only going to use one. I take one at a time. I know to begin with, it's going to be a little bit learn as I go. So I'm only going to take one. And then from there, once we start developing either a habit or knowing, what's a little bit more effective or a little bit more efficient, then definitely we'll go ahead and make the modifications and the changes then. But I'm going to pick out the few that I need around. I'm going to start dead center. So I'm going to pick out what it is around. I still haven't decided if I'm going to go left and up or right and up. There's too many choices to make. All right, but I'm going to go ahead and get the few skeins that I do need, and then we'll start cutting them up, winding them up, and then definitely making sure that I grab a marker so we can start labeling each of our pieces. Quick update. I very quickly realized that wrapping it was not an option. It was going to take way too long, but so far, this is what we have. I did make a mistake with one of them. One of them is not like the other, but I quickly realized this was the first one that I did. So I could quickly realize that I had cut it a little bit too short, and now I have the remaining here. I think because today is the first day, and we still have a few days before the video goes up, I think I'm going to go ahead and do as much of these as possible. I'll do a little bit tonight, continue tomorrow. And then again, before the video ends, I will definitely have started the project at least a little bit, just to give you guys an insight of how it's starting to look. Again, keep in mind this is a slow progress. It is not going to be done by the end of the video, so don't expect a miracle. You guys saw the size of the canvas that we're going to be working with. But yeah, so for the rest of tonight, I am going to be working a little bit more on getting all of these ready. So it is, I guess these are floss drops. However, they're not in floss drop state or floss drop little thingies. This is what I had and this is what I'm using. And, you know, we use what we have, but I think it works fairly well. We have the number that we need, the colors and everything. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and continue working with the rest of the threads, as many as I can. And hopefully I can get them done before we actually start our project. We have all of our threads ready to go. I did add a little bit of the green that is the cone, but that's fine. So there has been a few changes in my planning. I was going to start from the center and move out. However, in looking at the pattern and realizing that the edges are mostly solids, I think I'm going to start at the edge. And I know that I said that I wasn't going to do the 10 guide, or the guides, whatever. I started doing them. So the pattern is divided up into 10 squares or 10 stitches. So I just thought it would be easier. So for the rest of today's video, I am going to go ahead and grid out at least the first square. I believe there's the way that it's set up by pages. I think there's about 16 maybe. So I'm going to do at least the first one, which is 60 by 80, and then we'll go ahead and get started. So as we see here, this is where I'm going to be starting, and the corresponding color is white. my needle ready. I have this one. So I did grab only one. The reason is that I'm going to be doing the looping method, so I don't have to hide the tails in the back. And once I do that, so essentially I just double it up this way. And then this is what I use to hold or secure the end in the back. And it'll just go in through here, and at the end it'll just loop. That's why it's called looping. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and start here. The first 10 squares all across are white. I think it'll be pretty simple. I'm probably gonna go 10 by 10 by 10, but yep, let's get started. Alrighty, here is where we are now. We have done one square. This took about 40 minutes, believe it or not. I've used 2 of the strands of the white so far. Again, we are doubling them up so we can do the loop method in the back. And the only thing I'm securing is that other end tail once it's done. So I get to cut off in a bit. But this is how it's looking so far. Now I just have everything else to do. It's going to take a while. Like I told you guys, it's probably going to be a slow project. I am going to try to work on it as much as I can. However, I do have other things that I want to do or that I need to do. But so far it's been good. I know it doesn't look like much, but it's the beginning of something. I did start off with a smaller hoop simply because I wanted to make sure that I was able to grab the fabric as well as, you know, feel comfortable with it in my hand. So this is the top left corner of what our fabric is. However, when I'm working on it, I do have to flip it around. I have noticed already a few little dirty marks. And again, it's only been that. So I need to make sure that my hands are clean, that I'm constantly, you know, cleaning them, not touching anything else, just so it doesn't get all stained and dirty. This really doesn't matter, but once the thread goes on, that's what's going to be visible or dirty if it gets dirty. And I don't want that to happen. So there we are. That's what we've done so far. I am going to try to keep time every time that I'm working on this just to see how much it adds up to at the end. Obviously, when I'm not working on it, the time will stop. But yeah, that's what it's looking so far. I am very satisfied. It's actually very satisfying to see. But I'm going to continue working on it for a few days. This video will go up on Thursday. So hello, Thursday, once I see you. But wait, before we go, I did tell you that I was going to show you guys something that I had been working on. So this is a piece that I've been working on for a while. Obviously, you can tell the parts that are done and the parts that are not, which are many still. But this is what it's looking so far. If you've worked on diamond paintings, you know how interesting they are. I really enjoy it, actually. But we still have a long ways to go. But yeah, so I'll probably working side by side on this one and as well as the other one. Obviously, I picked this channel name for a reason, and here you have some examples of why. I really, really like the moon. But yeah, just thought I wanted to show you guys so you guys could see how it looks, the progression, and that way I've noticed that you guys hold me accountable. And now I know that I've showed it to you, so it needs to be done before the end of the year. But yes, definitely. Hopefully before the middle of the year. Hopefully, but we'll see. Now, let's go to the last clip. Update. I was going to end the video at that other clip, and you'll see the cutting in the editing part. But I decided to keep going in the next few days up until possibly Wednesday. Again, the video will go up on Thursday. But today I have worked on it. I have been teetering between projects and as well as thinking of how I'm going to rearrange the rooms. So, what I have decided currently in this room that I am now, I would show you, but it's a mess. And we'll leave that for another day. I have all of my printers slash Cricut cutter over there. I have my 3D printer over there. My heat press is over that side. The closet is over here where you guys saw the other day. And up here in front is where I have my sewing machine with the table that I usually use for that. I do have another room that is currently storage, which I'm going to possibly turn into just the sewing room. I was debating in moving the computer over there, but because everything that is needs to be connected to the computer takes up a lot more space, I just chose to leave it here in this room that is a little bit bigger. So I think in these next few weeks, I am going to be cleaning out that room, taking out as much as possible, and then turning it into my sewing room. Yarn is going to stay in here, but there is a lot of rearranging that I'm going to have to do. I'm possibly going to be taking that table that I have, and then I'll find another table to bring into this room because I technically that's the table that I use to cut my materials on. It's where my sewing machine is currently sitting on. So that'll be project for another day. But yes, I am going to be updating you guys in the next few days of how it's going. Day 1, we've done this much in about 3 hours, and I go back to work tomorrow, unfortunately, which tomorrow is Tuesday. And it's just sad, but I'll see how much more I can get done between tomorrow and Wednesday, and then the video will go up on Thursday. Alrighty, I'm just jumping on very quickly, no microphone or anything, to show you guys the progress update for day 2. I've been working on this for about an hour and 7-ish minutes, and this is how far we've gotten. I know it doesn't seem much. Yesterday, after I finished recording, I did work on it about 20-ish minutes more. So that total time was about 3 hours and 20 minutes, and today's time is about an hour and 7 minutes. So you can more or less calculate. I will post a total after tomorrow, when I give you guys the update progress. And yeah, but we're advancing. We've done this. I'm not missing stitches here. They're just another color. And then this is a whole line that goes all the way down. But these are our little 10 squares. You know what? These guides have been working fantastic. However, I do notice that you can see them through the fabric here. I did read that you can wash it. Hopefully it washes off. I'm going to try it. But if not, then I think it's the white, the only part where you can see it. I don't think you'll be able to see it as much once we start the darker areas, which is pretty much the rest of the fabric. However, what I did learn is that moving forward, I'm going to just do very light, or I could use the heat, whatever pens they're called, the ones for sewing where you can mark it, and then with the, if you apply heat to it, it'll erase. I don't have like the specific sewing pens for that, but I do have the friction ones, the erasable friction, which work just as good. I'm just a little scared, hoping that it won't leave a tint to it, but I'll probably try it on the next gridded piece that we have to do. But yeah, here's where we are so far. This is day 2. I believe day 1 we only had this part finished, this corner piece. You can't see the corner piece, but this is a complete piece right here, as well as I believe 2 or 3 only. I can't remember exactly. You guys will see it in the video. But yeah, here's where we are so far on day 2. I will see you guys tomorrow for day 3. Excuse my face and everything else. So today is Thursday. I know I said I was going to record on Wednesday, but I didn't get a chance. And since the last update, I haven't worked on the cross stitch anymore. So I just wanted to come in really quickly to give you guys an update. It still looks the same. Proof right here. You can see the cross stitch lines. But I will continue to work on it. Next video probably won't be just dedicated on this, but definitely I will continue to work on it. I have finally decided on a pattern for my quilt. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do in the next episode, but I know that I have to start the quilt. I know that I have to make a sloth, crocheted sloth, weighted crochet sloth. And I have a few other little projects in mind, but definitely going to start on either the quilt or the sloth for the next episode, which I hope I see you there. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like the video, share it around, comment down below, all the good stuff. Thank you guys again, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.